Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. In the last episode, we basically completed the simple RecyclerView implementation, and today we are just going to continue off of that and kind of show a little bit more power that the RecyclerView has, and hopefully I can show you a little bit about why it actually is called the RecyclerView in practice. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this down to 150 instead of 1500. That was getting excessive. Just want to double check that. Yeah, we're going to go back to the linear layout. We don't need the span. Okay, so we're ready to go here. Well, I guess this is a good representation. So when we had it laid out here, just one after another, no differences between them. It looked kind of bland, right? It was just element 0, element 1, element 2, element 3. And it kind of didn't really look too glorious because it was just so simple. But one little trick that you've probably seen before, especially in maybe, I don't know, Excel or some like table layout, right? Each or every other row has a different background color to it, and kind of just provides a little bit of visual separation between the items. Well, actually, speaking of visual separation between the items, let me try to figure out the syntax for it here, but there is item, oh man, what is it called? Decoration, it's called item decorate, yes, add item decoration. I'm looking for RecyclerView. All right, well, I forget exactly what it is called, so let's pop on over to the Google and figure it out here, right? So what I'm trying to do here is that you can actually put a little line between, here we go. Go ahead and look at Stack Overflow. We'll scroll down here. Divider item decoration, that's what I was looking for. Divider item decoration, and we need a context, so we will say this. And orientation, does it work off RecyclerView? Oh, I guess you call it layout manager.get orientation, so that if you change the layout manager or if you change the orientation, you don't have to change your code. But for now, we're just going to say vertical, since we know what that is. So, or we've set the RecyclerView to have to display everything on a vertical list. So we can just kind of hard code it there to match. But kind of going off the idea of breaking up the UI here a little bit, there's something built in here, the divider item decoration. It's literally just going to put a small line in between each item. You'll see here in a second. Yeah, so now you can kind of see, okay, this is a list, right? This is something that's scrollable. It just feels a little bit more natural, and we're good to go here. You could actually do this yourself if you were to, put a view here at the bottom. Let's just do it real quick. Why am I even bother telling you? We're going to set it to 1 dp. It might be a little bit thicker than what we see, but then if we just set the background to black, and then constrain the top to bottom of the text view, you could see in yeah, in like the layout there, the preview, you can see how it's already looking. We'll actually just change this to px instead. No, that's actually pixels. Just makes it look a little thinner. And if we actually remove this and rerun it, it might actually make it darker, so hopefully you'll be able to see it. Yeah, so you see it kind of change a little bit there. So it is pretty close to just completely black, 1 pixel. So you can accomplish it in the actual layout of the view that you're inflating, or you can actually do something different here and add a complete item decoration on the particular recycler view, and then it will inject this little view between your elements, which is kind of powerful, and you can actually extend the either the divider item decoration, or I think it's just called, yeah, the RecyclerView item decoration class itself, and then you can actually kind of customize your own divider that you have in between your elements, which is sometimes useful and powerful if you need to. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and remove this and remove this, and instead we're actually going to go back to the original thing that I had in mind for this video and change the background of the entire view itself to kind of provide that you know, little like table-like view that you would see. The text view and any view itself has a background attribute on it, and you can actually here you can just set the background color, and that requires actually a resolved color. I believe no, it's actually just the color in. So we just need to, you know, define black, but instead, no. Yep, so we actually need to define color itself. Okay, so when you reference something here in code saying r.color, or in our other case we did r.layout, right, like right here, you're actually referencing the R file that exists in your project. In this case it's a view or a layout file. In this case it's actually a resource color. Here they all exist in this R file that gets created at runtime, so that your system, so the application knows about everything that you've put into it, and has like a unique way of identifying everything in your project. So I think you can actually command, can you? You can get to the r.java file. Let me see real quick. Yeah, I can't find it right now, but you can actually find your way to the file, and it'll actually just have basically everything uniquely identified somehow. But in this case here, the function actually needs the resolved color. So the problem is that r.color.black here actually just ends up, it contains this value, but in Android land, it's actually just like an integer representation of you know, this particular resource in this particular file. So that's not actually a color itself. In order to resolve the color itself, we can say, I think we need a context for this. So we will do item view. Again, item view is a view, so we can get the context from the view. Interesting. And then get color. No, it's not going to be that. It's going to be resources.get color, and then we're going to just pass in. Okay, welcome back, guys. Sorry about that. I just needed to kind of dig a little bit and make sure I was doing the right thing. We actually kind of went back to on the context. There's actually now a get color function that does exactly what I wanted it to. It's kind of just a helper function of some other function that we used to use that's now deprecated, but it basically just grabs the resource associated with this integer, and then it actually parses it into a color. So now at this point we can actually just set that color in our set background color function, rerun the app, and now we'll see that the background color of these items is actually, you know, just straight black, and so is the text. So it just looks like a complete black blob here. So we're going to go ahead and fix that a little bit here. Also, it very clearly shows that the width is wrap content. In this case, we're going to make it match parent so that the entire view actually, that shouldn't matter. We can just do wrap content, and instead we can just set the item view itself's background color, and if we go ahead and just rerun that, this is still wrap content, but the item view itself is, oh, wow, I am absolutely fumbling this right now. This is the item view, so yes, of course it was set to wrap content before. Now we just have a black scrolling abyss here. Okay, I apologize for being all over the place right now, but yes, so we can kind of see that the color here is now being parsed from this function. This variable is actually holding the resolved color. You can actually see it kind of pop up here in the little sidebar, and then we're actually just setting the background color on the particular view. But you know, we have black, so that's just kind of overkill. So we're going to go ahead and make another color here, and let's just call this light background. And then we actually just supply it with a hex value here. So the way to actually read this is it follows the pattern A, R, G, B, right? So the first two characters here range from 0 to F, and that is your alpha value. The next two fields here also range 0 to F, and that is your R, your red range. Then the next two are G, again, same range, 0 to F, and then B. So you can kind of interpret how, so zeros are black and Fs are white. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to copy this, and we're just going to paste it here, except we're going to change the alpha value to, let's just say, 4. Let's go to 2. Why not? And let's see how that looks when we use that in there. So we will just change this to the light background, and then we're still setting it to that color. And so actually what we've done here is we're setting it to black, but with an alpha of, oh yeah, because we added the resource to the colors file, so that's not going to work. Right, so now you can see that it kind of is like this grayish color, but the problem is we've set this on every single row, which you could have gotten by the other runs that we've seen so far. So a pretty simple way to do this here, or to modify this, is this view holder has no idea where it actually is, or has no information other than the text that it's supposed to display. So it doesn't know if it's the first one, if it's the 5th one, if it's the 100th one, or etc. So we can actually enhance the knowledge here a little bit of this view holder, and we'll actually, in the onBind function, pass in the position. So now if we also accept position of type int as a parameter to this function, now this function understands here's your text and this is the position that we're at. So we can say, we can do something with that. We can basically oscillate every other in order to change the background color to something specific or not. So let's just say, we're going to Command X, copy that. If, and I'll talk about this in a second here, if position mod2 equals 0, we're going to do that, else we're going to set it to white. So in Kotlin here, you can actually kind of assign a particular value to an if statement. And so essentially this is going to read that color is going to be set to, if this is true, it's going to be set to this, otherwise color will be set to this. And this position mod2 equals 0. If you're not familiar with modular arithmetic, definitely take a look at it. It's pretty interesting. But here we're just very simply able to determine if this position is odd or even. And we'll just kind of provide that flipping back and forth of colors based on if the position of the row. Right, so now you can kind of see that it's set to either the gray when this is true, or it's set to white, which actually just blends into the background here. So Let's make this look a tiny bit prettier by not constraining this end to end of start to start of parent instead. And then let's bounce back here. Yeah, so now it kind of looks like an immersive scrolling list. It's edge to edge, so you can't tell that the padding is there or the margin is there. And now it kind of just looks like a traditional, table layout or list, or you kind of inherently, I guess, understand that this can be immediately scrolled just based on the background color, changing between the two. We'll cut this video here. We will kind of pick up from here in the next one and just go over maybe adding simple headers, or maybe like every 10th element we'll add a header or something along those lines, to kind of understand how we can handle different views, different view holders, and start to expand a little bit further off of the basic adapter that we have here, just providing this one view holder. But yeah, thanks for sticking with me. Kind of fumbled some things at one point there, but we will continue on nonetheless. So I'll see you in the next.